Hello, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope that everybody is doing amazing. And of course, this video is not going to be about gang stalking anyway. I'm going to talk about a different topic. I like to talk about like things relating to the black pill, the red pill, all the problems that are happening nowadays, especially as far as it comes to do with the gender dynamics, just the gender dynamics and the gender war, which of course the gender war has been deliberately manufactured by the elites to keep the men and the women always at each other, at each other, at each other, at each other's throat. And this benefits the elite because when men or women are always fighting with each other and at each other's throat because of the elites promoting and bolstering feminism as a weapon, divide and conquer sort of tactics. This helps the elite keep everyone under toes and keep everybody under control. And fuck those motherfuckers. How much do I hate them, man? I met so many people. I don't mean the cocksuckers. The cocksuckers, they will kowtow and they will suck dick all day long. They don't have a problem with anything that's happening. Because when you have no self-respect, you're willing to suck millions of dicks. They don't have a problem. But I've fucking met people that had literally flames in their eyes. People that were enraged. I once met a dude, man. He was like, he like straight up looking at me, and he was like, I have murder on my mind. Like, I want to fucking stab somebody in the neck. And this guy was not like a pussy. He wasn't just talking, wasn't just fucking shit. And then like the nurses came, and it was like 5 or 6 nurses. Literally, guys, 5 fucking nurses had to come and fucking like stop him, like to catch him. Just because he wanted, and he was strong, man. He was strong. Like they needed 5 or 6 of the nurses just to catch him, because that motherfucker was tough. He was strong, He was a fighter like me, He can fight back, and that's the reason why guys always like bring lots of people to fucking mess with you. But anyway, as far as the topic is concerned, the gender wars are being engineered. By the elites and by the state to control the population, to keep the men against the women and the women against the men. And therefore, then there's not going to be any natural harmony and all these things. And that's, of course, bad because it creates chaos. And chaos is beneficial only to the people who rule, the elites. They need this chaos. They need these motherfuckers to be always at odds with each other and confused and miserable and pathological and sick and dumb and stupid and all these problems that you see nowadays. It all has something to do with the government, the piece of fucking shit cocksuckers who follow and kowtow to the government. And of course, if you are a targeted individual, you're getting mobbed by the cocksuckers at the behest of the government. So guys, resist, fight the good fight. If they're going to kill you, they're going to kill you. So what? You shouldn't be afraid of death. Don't let somebody rob you of your freedom. Anyway, but the topic that I have to talk about today, well, I don't have to, but I want to, right? Again, freedom, freedom of speech, and the cocksuckers here in Germany. And by the way, Germany, guys, Germany is one of the worst fucking countries in the world. Like, as far as freedom and liberty is concerned, there is no fucking freedom here, it's all fucking, Potemkin Kulis shit. It's all fucking lies, man, They will lie and say Germany is the land of the free and it's freedom and Freiheit, and they will say, oh, it's democracy. Bitch, they ain't fucking democracy in Germany. This land is... Germany is one of the most enslaving, fucking repressive / oppressive countries in the fucking world. It's a literal, absolute fucking trash. And I mean, this is not for me just to say like, oh, it's amazing in America or something like that. It isn't, because I've been to America. There's many, many problems in America as well. Maybe 200 years ago, yes, America used to have a lot of liberty and freedom. Maybe in some pockets in the South, maybe in the redneck, territories, maybe in Florida, maybe you will have some freedom and liberty or whatever. But do you really nowadays? Do you really have any freedom? No, you don't. No, you don't fucking have. Anyway, I don't want to diverge. My topic is actually about more like the red pill / black pill. I don't know if you guys know anything about the red pill or the black pill, but it's the truth. It's the truth about gender dynamics. It's the truth about how men relate to women, how women relate to men, nature. Okay, just the understanding of nature as it is. And what I want to talk about is specifically is people who, well, not people, but men who are invisible in the eyes of women. Okay, so I'm talking specifically about men who are invisible in the eyes of women. So the men that women wouldn't even pay attention to, the woman would never notice them, completely invisible. The type of men that a woman would never even fucking, like spit in their fucking face. All right? That fucking bad. So, you see, because the worst thing in life as a man is not for you to be abused by a woman. It is not to be mind fucked by a woman, or for a woman to act like a total bitch or cunt to you, or to disrespect you, or to harm you in some way, or for you to get harmed physically or mentally or emotionally, or to get robbed or killed. That is not the worst thing that can happen to you as a man. The worst thing that can happen to you as a man, as a matter of fact, is for you to be this sort of individual who is completely invisible in the eyes of women. Because when you are invisible in the eyes of women, because at the very least, if you're acting like a fucking asshole or something like that, and the woman is giving you some level of attention, maybe negative attention, spitting in your face, calling you names, maybe slapping you or punching you in the chest or something like that, or disrespecting you or whatever, at the very fucking least, you have a chance. She's giving you attention. There is some level of interest, because women, by the way, don't have to give you interest. They don't have to give you attention. A woman could literally, if she sees you in the streets or something, and she wants to have nothing to do with you, she could literally like get the fuck out of there. She could literally just move on and continue walking like nothing happened. She could literally act towards you in a way that you don't literally exist. And that's what oftentimes happens to these dudes who, let's just put it this way, are weak, submissive, got nothing going on for them. They're not smart. They're not genetically gifted. They don't have high testosterone. They're not leaders. They're not warriors. They don't have any skills. They don't know how to do jack fucking shit. They're not smart. And their dick is definitely not big. And, why would a woman want to have anything to do with such a man? So they're completely invisible. The women don't see them. And that is literally the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen as a dude, and this is what kills as a man, is that the man doesn't, get any attention from the woman at all. Because in nature, for women to completely treat you in such a way that you're like invisible, like a ghost, it would literally mean that you're going to not be able to reproduce. You're not going to be able to have a bloodline. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that you're never going to have even a fighting chance to fuck her and to get her pregnant and have kids is literal proof that you're going to die. I mean, can you conceive of this? You're going to die without having a lineage, without having guaranteed a bloodline or a lineage or kids. That means your bloodline is going to die with you. When you die, there's nobody else. There's no DNA. Your genetics, your DNA is not going to exist in the fucking world after your death. And the worst thing is not for a man can take a lot of things. A man can, we deal with this oftentimes in the gang stalking. Obviously, I'm not just saying this about the dudes. I'm sure also women are suffering equally under the gang stalking. But a man can take a lot of abuse, mind fuckery, psychological, emotional abuse, to be stolen from, to lose things, to have their house burned down, to lose a car, to get carjacked, to get maybe injured physically or physically threatened or killed or whatever. Those are things that men can technically handle. Those are things that men can deal with or live with. Well, they won't live with it if they are dead, but that's something they can handle as long as they can ensure that they reproduce and have kids. Then they don't really have a problem. And this is typically, conventionally, this is exactly what used to happen in like medieval times and the primitive times, is that the reason why the men were such good warriors and they fought the fight, when they went to war and they fought like to the death, and they did it with conviction. Now, a lot of people might ask, why did the people in medieval times and in primitive times, why did they fight to the death? Why did they fight so valiantly or so bravely, even at the pain of death and mutilation and brutalization? Because, in these wars, a lot of things can happen. In Africa, for example, they would take fucking people and put a fucking like car tire around them and fucking set them on fire. That shit happens. But the reason why, and men often do go in a flash. We go in a flash. We go, and then we go to hell. We die in a flash and we go to hell. We go to hell. But, the amazing thing is that all these warriors in primitive times and medieval times, the reason why they were so ready to fight to the death is because they knew that they had, fucked a lot of women in their tribe and got them pregnant. So they know that they have maintained or ensured or guaranteed their genetic lineage. So they're not afraid of death, because why would they give a shit about dying as long as exactly. So as a dude, back to the topic, like as a dude, the worst thing that can happen to you is for you to die without reproducing. So the worst thing that can happen to a man is not to die a violent death. I am going to die a violent death. I think I'm going to make it on my terms. I think I will make it on my terms. I think you will probably see me on the news in the future, but we will see about that. Yeah. The worst thing is not for the man to die a violent death. The worst thing is for the man actually to die in his sleep. If the man dies in bed, if the man dies in a hospital bed, or when the man dies in a hospital bed, or he dies in his sleep, like a coward, like a bitch, at the age of 80 or 90 or whatever, that is the worst thing, because then you were acting like a bitch and a coward. You were not a leader. You were not a warrior, and you never got to reproduce. Women were not stalking you, trying to have sex with you 9 times 24/7, right? Getting down on their knees and sucking on your dick. And since that was not happening, your chances that you have even reproduced once or twice is so slim, probably negligible, probably never happen. And that means you never had kids because you were always invisible to the women. And as such, you're a moron, you're a retard, and you're going to die without reproducing your genetics, and that is literally the worst thing that can happen as a dude. So um, as far as a lot of people, a lot of people make this kind of objection, and they say, why is it that all these warriors, people might look at them and say, well, they're completely nuts, they're completely crazy. Well, in reality, it is not the warriors who are crazy. It is actually the people that die in their sleep. They are the crazy ones because they are insane. They are literally insane. The warriors are justified in the things that they do because it makes perfect sense that they would die a violent death, and they are not afraid of dying a violent death. Um, it makes perfect sense, actually. And the reason why, people look at all these like jihadists and like the Taliban and the ISIS and all these people, why they're fighting so viciously and violently, even at the pains of getting killed and mutilated, which oftentimes does happen. Dying from bombs, getting bombed to death, getting slaughtered, getting cut down and hacked into pieces, and all this shit that happens to terrorists all the fucking time. But they're not crazy. I mean, there's a reason why they are so highly motivated and spirited in fighting against, I don't know, whoever their enemies happen to be, whether it's the Americans or the Russians or whoever the fuck it is they're fighting against. But the reason why they're so spirited and so motivated in this fighting, and they are not afraid of dying and getting killed. And this was always the case, even in ancient times and primitive times. This has always been the case in medieval times. But the reason why that is because they know that they have been, that they have reproduced with a lot of women, and they have ensured their bloodline and genetics. For example, you have the story of like Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, he fucked like 1,000 women in his life. Literally 1,000 women in his life. And of course, all the fighting and the violent fighting that he did. And of course, you guys probably know a lot about history more than me. You guys probably know more about history than I do, because if you're following this channel, like, you're probably relatively smart. Like, your IQ is probably around 120 at least, right? So you guys know about what happened with Genghis Khan. Went and slaughtered the Chinese and slaughtered all the way to Baghdad, and fucking went in the Middle East and burned down like libraries, and then they had mountains of skulls and all this shit. And then eventually he died a violent death. Actually, he was poisoned in his wine. But he fucked 1,000 women, and he had loads and loads of kids. And of course, it is a fact that to this day, of course, Genghis Khan is highly esteemed and highly respected amongst the Mongolians. And of course, I like Mongolian people personally. I have an affinity towards people from Mongolia. I really like the Mongolians because the Mongolians actually eat a lot of meat, by the way. Actually, that's the only thing that they eat in Mongolia. The Mongols, they only eat meat and fermented butter and cheese and pickles. They don't have access to fruits. They don't have, and honey, but they don't have access to fruits. They don't have access to vegetables or any of this garbage. So this is historically what they've always been eating, and still to this day. But of course, Genghis Khan is definitely highly esteemed to this day in Mongolia. And of course, it is a fact that a lot of people nowadays are still descended from Genghis Khan, both in Mongolia and in Mongolian territory of China, and in China, and probably in the Middle East, and maybe even in Europe. You know, there is, it is that, this might be mind blowing to you, but some average dude walking around in Poland may possibly have maybe 2% or 3% genetics from Mongolia, right? So that is definitely a possibility. But so yeah, the reason why Genghis Khan was not afraid of dying, and he was fighting so violently and viciously, the reason why he was not afraid of death is um, because he was attractive in many ways for multiple reasons. I'm not going to go into that. To the women, and he managed to have sex with a lot of them and reproduce and have children by them. So this is this was typically in old school or in primitive times and in medieval times one of the main reasons why the men would not be afraid of death and why they would potentially fight even violently to the death because they're not afraid of death because they have secured their genetics. And the only people that were afraid of dying or you know wanted to have the safety or whatever, and they just died in their sleep. The reason why those people are like that is precisely because they are afraid of violent death because they haven't reproduced. And I saw recently there was a story about this judge. There was this judge somewhere in America. I can't remember where it was. I think it was maybe somewhere probably in the South, maybe in Arizona or something. And this judge, he had actually he was 70 years old, literally 70 years old, right? Literally 70 years old. And then he discovered after his wife had divorced him that two of his kids, well, his two kids are not actually his. So she used them throughout the years for a marriage of like what 40 fucking years, and then dropped the hammer on him and said, you know what, these two kids are not yours. And you see the problem? You see the problem? Like, he's probably gonna die a very comfortable death, and he's gonna die in his bed. But the kids are not his, so he hasn't insured his lineage, and he's probably 99.99999% he's probably guaranteed to die in his sleep without having any children. So he's not going to have a lineage or a legacy after his death. And this is, of course, quite a problem. So actually, there is definitely a an argument that could be made that actually, for a man to be a warrior and to not be afraid of physical violence or physical pain or torture or suffering or physical death is a valid point. It makes a lot of sense. The reason why that is because, I mean, of course, women and women, cocksuckers, faggots, homosexuals, they will laugh at you. They will think that you're stupid or dumb. But it makes perfectly good sense why a man wouldn't be afraid of enduring physical pain and torture and all these things, and possibly death as well, is because as long as they manage to reproduce. I mean, this is historically what masculinity has always been about. It's to fight, against the men, to kill as many of the men and fight against them, and to rape and fuck as many women as possible. right? Now, in nature, probably it would be more akin to rape. What we nowadays in modern times, we refer to it as rape, but the primitive caveman hunter gatherers, they didn't really see it as rape. They didn't perceive it as rape. It's only the LGBTQ and the faggots and the homosexuals and all these postmodern cunts. They have a problem with this shit because they're stupid. All right, but in nature, this would not have been a problem. So of course, the men would be fighting and fighting to the death to kill the other men or whatever. I mean, not the men of their own tribe, but the men of the other tribes, and to have sex with as many women as possible to make as many babies as possible. And this is something that you typically see even to this day amongst the Africans. If you go to like Africa or the Black Africans, I'm not talking about the like African Americans, but the African Americans are genetically descended from Africa, so it makes no difference really. But genetically speaking, they have actually proven that Black Africans do actually have what is called a warrior gene, and they have twice as much likelihood to have the warrior gene than white people. Yeah. So the that's the reason why um, you know Africans, typically Africans, you will see this. I don't know if you did. I don't know if you noticed. You sure done diddly did. If you live in America, which I don't, I never lived in America, but I visited America, and I actually, I'm gonna digress a little bit, but I did meet some Black people in America, and I was actually treated pretty. I was treated pretty fucking good, man, by the Black people. You know what I mean? Like every time I'd meet a Black guy, like it was I don't know, man. We just clicked. Like we got along. You know what I mean? Um, we got along. We didn't have any issues. You know what I mean? But with the white people, I always got treated very badly, and you know had a lot of problems with the white people. For no reason, the white people would just come and fucking like call me names and call me a faggot and all sorts of fucking names and shit. You know what I mean? But the Black people, I never had a problem with them. But if you did, if you did, um, if you did live in America, you would notice that the Black people do fuck everything that moves, and literally they do. And you know um, you oftentimes see like some like Black dude like has banged like, I don't know, like 10 or 13 women, and they all got pregnant and shit like that. And the reason why they do that is because they're not afraid of death. They're not afraid of getting killed. They're not afraid of physical harm, because as long as they get to have sex with the women and get them pregnant, um, and guarantee their genetics, the Black dudes, you know, they don't really have that problem. They're not really afraid of come what may. They're not afraid of getting killed, even if they end up going to prison and getting killed, or some shit like that, which oftentimes does happen because if you're some dude going around and banging like 12, 13, 14 chicks, the women will eventually hunt you down and try to get you to go to prison, to pay, probably because you can't like pay child support or alimony. Well, probably if he's banging all these chicks, obviously he can't like, pay any alimony because he wasn't married to them. But, the women will definitely chase the dude down and trying to put that nigger in prison. And that's just the way it is. So that this is the reason why, classically speaking, conventionally speaking, dudes were not afraid, um, you know, uh, to die a physical or violent death, um, because you know because why would they, right? As long as you're produced genetically, like I said, if you don't get attention from women, if women don't even consider you to be a thing that lives, and they're definitely, you're like invisible to them, that is the worst thing, because you are nothing. Even if you can't reproduce, you can't get women pregnant, you can't have sex with them, okay, then your lineage is gone and you're going to die. And whether you die or die in your sleep or get killed, it doesn't really make a difference at all, because everything that you have lived in your entire life is pointless. It means nothing. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why there's that, you know, what is called, yeah, that's the reason why, like, you guys know about Tupac, for example. You guys might look at Tupac and think, man, that guy's fucking nuts, man. But he wasn't. You think he's nuts, but he wasn't. He was a warrior, man. He got all the bitches. He fucked loads of women and got them pregnant, and God knows how many children he has. And of course, he had that. He did like that hit him up video clip, and he fucking went and started trashing and trash talking Biggie Smalls and all that stuff. And then of course Biggie Smalls got angry, and he murdered him. Took a gun and shot him in his face. But the reason why he wasn't afraid of death is because he knew that he had like banged a lot of chicks, and most of them some of them got pregnant, I'm sure. And that's the reason why he wasn't afraid of getting killed, because why would he? You have to think about it logically. So the worst thing is actually that you don't get attention from women. That would be the worst thing that can happen. So even if I'm not saying that it's particularly a good thing for a woman to be a bitch to you, to be nasty to you, or to disrespect you, or try to humiliate you or whatever. That's not typically not a good thing, but it is technically a million times better than for women to just not consider you to be a thing, not consider you to be even alive. You know what I mean? That would be the literal fucking worst fucking thing that can happen in the world. Literally. For you as a dude, I'm just saying, So, yeah. So this is the thing that this is the reason why they keep trying to put me in prison all the time. They've tried to put me in prison like millions of fucking times. They're constantly conspiring against me, trying to put me in prison, because they know that I'm not afraid of death. They know this. They fucking know it. And that's why they want so badly to put me in prison, because I am not afraid. They keep making fun of me all the time, and they're like, they kept, people fucking following me around and shit, making fun of me and being like, fighting, yeah, burn. You're gonna burn, motherfucker. And I'm like, yeah, so what, man? Like, and it's so funny about the state of affairs of things that are happening in the world right now, with all this like engineered chaos and engineered feminism, where they want the women to be like masculine and dominant, and they want the men to be submissive and feminine, and that's, I was one day I visited Berlin, right? And Berlin is absolute fucking trash, man. Somebody should just bomb the fuck out of Berlin, man. I don't know who is going to do it, but somebody should definitely. I think it's a good idea. Just drop a huge nuclear bomb straight up into fucking Berlin. I don't want that fucking place to exist anymore. I want it gone. I literally want that fucking piece of shit fucking place to fucking burn to the fucking ground. And I hope it does, with all the cocksuckers and all the fucking faggots and the vegans and all those communist pieces of shit. They're all gonna fucking, get nuked. Well, they won't, but I wish. But yeah, so I go and I visited. I visited Berlin, and I saw this like graffiti or something like that. There was like a graffiti on the wall, and it literally said, I bet you it was a woman that put that graffiti there, but it said Feminismus oder Schlägerei. Okay, so that means in German, either feminism or fighting. So the point of it is either you follow and submit and kowtow like a slave, like a bitch, to feminism, or you're going to have to fight, right? You're going to have to fight because you can do that. You can submit. You can be a beta male. You can be a beta male. You can be a beta male. You can be submissive. You can be a cuck. And you go and you submit and kowtow to the feminism, right? To the women. And they're going to manipulate the fuck out of you. They're going to, I see these cocksuckers all the fucking time around the streets. Like the woman will be walking in front of her man, like the man is not even walking in front. He's walking behind her like a fucking pussy whipped little dog, like a little chihuahua fucking being dragged around the streets like a bitch. And you can do that. You can submit to the woman. You could be submissive to the women. You can be a bitch. You can be a feminist. All you fucking want. But the problem is this woman that you are with, that you married, she knows that you are not a fighter. She knows that you are not a warrior. She knows that you're a slave. She knows that you are nothing. You ain't shit. She just using you in that relationship, in that marriage, so that you work for her like a slave, like a drone in a beehive to generate money and income for her so she can live the life that she wants. And then she's going to go behind your back and she's going to get fucked. She's going to get fucked. She's going to get cream pied. She's going to get cream pied. She's going to get all that man juice in her fucking face. And as she is literally getting fucked by some other dude that literally just came out of prison, like 2 days ago or something like that, as she's getting fucked, literally getting fucked, she will hold the phone and call you and talk to you and be like, hey, sweetie, how are you doing? Everything all right, sweetie? You all right, man? Yeah, all good, sweetie. Nothing going on, man. I love you. I will see you tomorrow. Don't worry, I'm just busy with my manager right now. We work on this, what was it, like a project? It was like a project of... blah, blah, whatever, some fucking bullshit excuse that she's gonna come up with. But she's literally getting fucked in the ass, man. Like, what are you talking about, man? This is what's happening to a lot of dudes, man. Like, all this fucking time. Like, the bitch is like literally getting fucking cum shots. Literally getting gangbanged. Getting fucking cum shots on her face. Literally getting fucking, man juice in her fucking pussy, like literally getting cream pied, and she's fucking talking to her bitch fucking husband and like, oh, hi sweetie, everything good, I don't know what. So of course, what you guys think, what is going to happen in this situation? Well, the husband, right, he's a fool. He doesn't understand what is happening, that he's being used in every single way possible, right? Because he married this bitch and he's working his ass off like a fucking slave day and night just to fucking provide food and shelter and all the finances and expenses for his wife. And he doesn't get to reproduce with her. He doesn't even have, probably won't even get to have sex with her at all. And she's going to use his money for a while, for a couple of years, and then go and she's at the same time all these fucking years, 4, 5, 6, whatever fucking years, sucking on some other guy's cock, you know, and probably will get pregnant if she can, like, if she can get away with it, right? And then she will pass off that child to the beta male, to the husband, as his, when it is not his. That child is from somebody else, right? And then after a couple of years, when she's done using his ass and exploiting his ass, she's gonna be like, fuck you, you know what? You didn't give me attention. My vagina hurts today. I'm on my period today. You know what? Fuck you. You never do this for me. You didn't take the trash bag. And then she'd be like, fuck you. Take you to court. Take you to court. And then when she takes you to court, she's going to give you the business. She's going to fucking, she's going to like bend you down over the judge's table and fucking put a giant fucking dildo up your fucking ass. You're going to get royally, I mean, not you, not me, but, the husbands, the beta males, right? The ones that kowtow to feminism. They're going to get bent over the judge's table and fucked. And then they're hit with reality. And this happened to a lot of people in my life. I know these people. I know these cocksuckers. They never learn. And then she divorces you, takes half your fucking money, half your fucking shit, half your properties, any money you got in the bank. She will take it. She will rub you blind. She will fucking take alimony from you, child support, everything. Not only will she take half your fucking property, but she will force you to fucking pay child support and alimony for years to come as well. Okay, so these people that bow down and submit to feminism because they don't want to fight or don't want to stand up for their rights, they get fucked over in the worst way possible. They got fucked over by the women, taken advantage of, used like a slave drone, and they die without reproducing and having any lineage or kids or bloodline or anything. These people get royally fucked, not just by the women, but by the world, by the universe. It's like the universe. It's like, you might as a dude get fucked by someone, right? Somebody might steal money from you once in a while. Some shit happens. Somebody breaks in your house, takes something from you. Somebody comes and trashes your house. Somebody comes and breaks in, smashes your car window, right? But these people get fucked royally. They get the ultimate fuck. The ultimate fuck is you don't get to have children. This is if you're a man, the ultimate getting fucked, the ultimate getting, fucked by the world and by nature and by the universe is, to not be able to reproduce, to not be able to have kids. That is the ultimate, getting fucked. Because if you think about it, all these great people, all these amazing people that fought and did amazing things. Look at Napoleon Bonaparte, for example. Napoleon Bonaparte, who was the leader, the emperor of France in 1789 or something like that, right? So what was motivating him? Well, he was motivated by one thing, right? He was motivated by pussy. That's why he was motivated, because he wanted to get to the top. All this fighting and conquering and killing and all this shit that he was doing was for one thing, is to get as many women that he can reproduce with as possible. And he did. By the way, he was a notorious womanizer. He must have fucked 10,000 French women, if not more. And that's when he was actually married to Josephine, right? So, guys, I don't know if this even has to be explained, but I should normally be obvious, but, this is the way it is. So, this is the ultimate loss for you as a dude is for you to never get to reproduce. This is the biggest fucking loss for you. Yeah, I mean, you can lose in many ways. In many ways, you can lose. Life is not easy, but the ultimate loss is to not be able to have children. That's the reason why when the dude is completely invisible, if you're completely a ghost, if the woman doesn't even see you, doesn't care about you at all, to the point that she wouldn't even be willing to spit on your fucking face, you're cooked, man. You are fucked.